On the surface, the Blue Jays should have been able to negotiate a better trade deadline deal for left-hander J.A. Happ than the one agreed upon with the Yankees on Thursday. However, 4 raggedy July starts by the classy 35-year-old may have crushed the strong bargaining position of Jays GM Ross Atkins. As a result, the Jays had to forget about 2 New York Uber prospects, lefty Justus Sheffield and outfielder Clint Frazier, and settle for the best offer out there, 26-year-old infielder Brandon Drury and 24-year-old outfielder Billy McKinney, a career prospect. McKinney was a first-round pick of the A's, 24th overall, in 2013. Drury was selected by the Diamondbacks in the 13th round in June 2011. Brandon Drury, the versatile infielder acquired by the Blue Jays from the Yankees on Thursday, is expected to be in the lineup for Friday night's series opener against the White Sox in Chicago. Tom Shirebowski, Getty Images file photo. A positive way of looking at it is that the players the Jays chose are closer to contributing in the majors, meaning that perhaps the team is intent on at least being competitive in 2019. If they chose a blow-it-up scenario, they would likely have held out for younger prospects, further away from the majors. Things have been going so badly for Atkins and the Jays in terms of injuries and subpar performance that it almost seems like they traded Happ early, wanting to pull the trigger before he had a chance to make his last pre-deadline start, to avoid the chance for another disappointing outing or an injury. The way that we saw it, it didn't seem to have an impact at all, Atkins said, downplaying the notion. Jay was still objectively, despite recent struggles, very much one of the better pitchers in the game. Article continued. Bello, even though Happ's pitching line has dropped to 10-6 with a 4.18 ERA, he was likely the best starting pitcher rental on the market. By the termination of negotiations, there were reports of 3 or 4 other teams in the running. Understanding that, the final return seems short of what might be expected. We're at the point now where our position player talent is very, very strong and will be hard to really upgrade, Atkins said in an eyebrow-raising statement of belief in his farm. So now, we will shift our focus to pitching, whether it's this trade deadline or over the course of next offseason. That's a bold statement for an organization that has been drowning in mediocre defense, base running, hitting and pitching. The package of Drury and McKinney was clearly better than players offered up by the Brewers, Cubs, Phillies or Mariners. There was little choice. If the Jays had held on to Happ and he finished the season in Toronto, the club would have received nothing in return. The draft choice compensation would only have come if they made a qualifying offer at the start of free agency. But at $18 million for 1 year, all dollars US, that was never going to happen. We don't go into the deadline saying we want to acquire players that are now ready to make an impact to this team, Atkins said. We went into the deadline to acquire the best possible talent. This trade was the best chance to do that. It could have come in the form of someone that was at a much lower level or much younger, but you're always balancing the risk with upside. So we feel there's still some major league upside to these players we've acquired. Drury has already been told by the GM, in a welcoming phone call, that he is likely to be in Friday's lineup against the White Sox. Drury is versatile and can play multiple positions, so somebody will be sitting. That would be up to John Gibbons, Atkins said. We'll have opportunities for guys to play. It means that someone goes to AAA. That is a good scenario for an organization. That is not the best scenario for individuals sometimes, but when organizations have those tough decisions, that's where you want to be. The Yankees have secured Happ's services for a possible 13 starts, at $5.3 million, as they look to catch the Red Sox or at least to pull away from the field as the first wild card. Happ has a career mark of 7-4 with a 2.98 ERA in 18 starts versus Boston, and is 17-14 against the Yankees' AL East opponents. He is 4-2 with a 2.91 ERA at Fenway Park and 4-1 at Yankee Stadium. That's added value. Article continued. Below, times may have changed in the past 2 years, but consider the haul the Yankees received from the Cubs for closer Aroldis Chapman on July 25, 2016. The Cubs felt the Cuban flamethrower was the final piece they needed to put them over the top and win their first World Series in over 100 years. Chapman was on an expiring contract and the Cubs were all in as a rental for 3 months. The Yankees got second baseman Gleyber Torres, reliever Adam Warren, McKinney and a minor league outfielder. Nobody in the Happ deal compares to Torres or Warren. Which brings us to the decision by Chapman to re-sign with the Yankees after that season, for 5 years and $76 million. Happ has already indicated how much he loves Toronto. He has recorded 59 of his 102 career wins in a Jays uniform, over 2 stints. He's comfortable. His asking price for a 2- to 3-year deal to come back to town could be affordable for the Jays. If that happened then, in hindsight, Thursday's trade would become a winning proposition. The Jays can't afford to blow it up completely without losing even more attendance. Must rebuild toward contender status in 2020. For now, they seem to be stockpiling redundant parts that are likely to separate themselves before the end of the season. But with Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Devon Travis, Yanger Vasilarte, Aledmus Diaz and now Drury for 3 positions, what happens when Josh Donaldson returns to the ranks of the active? Richard Griffin is a sports columnist based in Toronto. Follow him on Twitter, @GriffinStar.